So Fascines are a fieldwork fortification that was used in the 18th century. They go all the way back even to ancient times, so it's not any new technology that's being developed in the 18th century in the siege of Boston. But these Fascines, they are made of saplings, and they are placed in holders, which would be called chandeliers. And all of those were brought up here to Dorchester Heights on the night of March 4th, 1776. And they're modular, they're lightweight, they're portable, which is why the Americans were able to build those fortifications in one night, set up the cannons, and then obviously have them face towards Boston in the anticipation of a possible British counterattack.
And the reason, of course, because the ground was too hard for them to dig in.
Exactly, right. The ground was frozen, so the idea of actually digging entrenchments such as they did at Bunker Hill back in June wasn't going to work. So instead of being able to dig down into the earth, you have to build up. So the idea is that this is the way to do it. These would be various widths thick. We just, for demonstration purposes, just have them stacked in a single line, just so we have the height. These should be about breast high, so that way they'll protect the soldier and he'll be able to fire over them. And then they should be about 3 or 4 fascines thick. And that would be enough to stop a musket ball or a canister shot from a cannon. A solid cannon shot, that's not going to stop it. But any of that anti-personnel weapon will definitely, musket balls and canister will be stopped by these types of fortifications.
And of course, you're up so high, hopefully they're hoping they're not.
Yes, and that's the whole thing is that the being up so high, and this is also higher than Bunker Hill, the amount of British cannon fire that's going to be able to be placed onto this hill from the British cannons in Boston and on the neck is negligible. Same thing with the ships, they're not going to have the elevation. But if the British did land on the Dorchester Peninsula and brought field pieces with them as they did at Bunker Hill, then they could get in range with their field guns to start peppering the American works with gunfire.
When did they start putting this up again?
So this was on the night of March 4th. So obviously all of the work to actually construct these is going to be happening in the weeks before. And I believe it is the Council of War that Washington has, I believe on February 16th, where they make the decision that yes, they're going to go ahead and fortify Dorchester Heights. And it's about 10 days later, there's a letter from Washington that says specifically, we're going to have to rely on fascines and chandeliers to build the fortifications up. So whether they started on the 26th or whether he's just confirming the fact that this is why we're currently building these things. But we have that documentation from that time.
When did the British know what they were doing on the hill?
They the next morning, March 5th, when they woke up and they saw that the Americans had fortified the Twin Hills on Dorchester Heights.
Okay, so it's literally one night.
Literally one night, yep. So they went up, the engineers went up first, they sent guards out, pickets out onto the shoreline to guard against any British attack if they thought that they might come. But then they brought the engineers up, they set up the diagram using ropes and stakes and stuff, and set it up. This is where we want you to put the fascines. Then the guys show up with the chandeliers, right, place the holders where they need to go, and then all the rest of the men just start showing up. There's about 350 wagons that they have full of this construction material, and they're also making several trips throughout the night. So it's just, once you get that going, it's essentially an assembly line production. And just, these are, again, if you pick them up, they're lightweight, so you can just keep these things moving and construct them all in one night. Now, obviously, the issue is that once they get all of this set up in that one night, the Americans are not idle after that. They continually improve the works over the days ahead. So one thing that General Howe said is the more they delay their attack, then that gives simply the Americans more time to improve their fortifications. And that's one of the reasons why he has to postpone the attack, because of a storm that comes in the night of the 5th. And then basically it's the idea that, okay, we have all these extra days now, the Americans have been able to improve the fortifications, and then it's going to be an absolute bloodbath if they try to take it.
Because that's what happened at Bunker
That's exactly what happened at Bunker Hill, right? Right, exactly, yeah. The battle thereof, yeah. But exactly, I mean, that's fresh in their minds that if they try to do this again. And then also, the big difference is, with Bunker Hill, the Americans only had about 3 cannon in that battle. They have many more here on Dorchester Heights, and they also have more ammunition. So with facing a stronger position, it's a higher hill, it's a stronger position, and it has more firepower.
Probably a wise decision.
Right, exactly. And they had a little bit more security when landing at Bunker Hill. It was far enough away where they landed. There was a hill in front of them, so when they were landing on the beach, they were protected. Whereas there's not that much room between the hill here and the shoreline. So there was the idea of flanking in from Castle Island, so coming in from the eastern side, but the idea is that you don't have much room to set up and secure and plan your battle before you are already in the thick of it.
Well, I mean, the land is completely different now, so it's kind of hard to see. Like,
Of course, right, yeah.
Like how that works. You kinda have to look
Exactly,
at
yeah, we
maps
do
and
lose
kinda-
that site. It would be awesome if we had a way to just kind of take that all down and see what it looks like.
Just for a day.
Just for a day, yeah, guys, back it down, please. Get rid of the landfill.
It doesn't really work.
Yeah.